Hello everybody and welcome back. And right now let us see how we can implement our keylogger in our backdoor. Now in order for us to do that, we need to actually specify the keylogger in one function, so we don't actually code too much in our backdoor. So what we want to do is actually code in our keylogger program a function that will call all other functions. So if I open my keylogger.py, let me just remove the keylogger.txt and nano keylogger.py. Right here, we can see that this part right here, which is with keyboard listener, actually calls the report function, and then it also calls the keyboard listener.join function, which actually listens for our keys right here. We also have the onProcess keys right here. So what we want to do is actually make a function that will perform this code right here. And once we make that function, what we will do is basically just call that function from our backdoor once we import our keylogger in our backdoor. So just type here, for example, def, and then let's call it start, which is the function that will actually start our keylogger in our backdoor. So we don't specify anything in that function, we just place this code right here in that function. Now, in our case right now, we do not want to call this function anywhere in the keylogger code. Since we will not run this program, we will just import this program as a library into our backdoor, and then we will use available functions from this program in our backdoor. What we will specify is the program name and then .start, and this will perform this code right here, which will perform these two functions. So let us see what else we need to change right here in order for this to actually work. So we have the file right here, so let me just specify it right here. Now the next thing we want to do is actually hide this keylogger.txt, since if we run our backdoor on desktop, this keylogger.txt folder or file will actually be saved somewhere on our desktop. So what we want to do is actually open this keylogger in a different path, so path, and the path will actually be a variable that we specify right here. So we can use the global path, or we can actually code it right here, it doesn't even matter, path equals, and then in order to specify the path to the app data, the same as in our backdoor, we need to import OS right here in order to find the actual app data environment. So what we need to do is use the function called OS environment. So path will be os.environ app data, which is the same that we used in our backdoor, which will basically save our keylogger.txt at the same folder, and we need a name in order to name it, and let's call it keylogger.txt. We need to specify this in between these double quotes, so this will be our path, that is where we will save our keylogger, and all we need to do right here is use our global path variable, so global path, and specify it right here. This will open that path every time for the appending, and then from our backdoor we can actually open that path as well and read from that file and send it contents back to us. So I believe this should be it right now for our keylogger. Now before I do anything, let me just specify this to be, for example, 10 seconds. You can put this here any number you want. Basically this is just seconds at which point it will write the contents of the file for us. So let us actually see how this will work in our backdoor. So Control O to save. And right now we need to make sure first of all that our keylogger.py program is in the same directory as our reverse_shell.py, since we will not be able to import it if it is not. And right now if I just go here nano reverse_shell.py, I will go right here and import my keylogger. Now I also need to import threading, since I will be running our keylogger on a separate thread, so we can actually continue to run our program while our keylogger is actually running. So what I want to do right now is basically go to my else if statement, and let's say the command, we use the same command, or not the same, we will use something different. So let us go first of all to our else if statement. Let's go all the way down. After the check for the administrator privileges, let us code another else if. So else if command, and then for example first 12 letters equal to keylog start. If a user types this, basically what this will do is it will actually, let us see what this will do. So it will start our keylogger. So in order for us to do that, let us just type here T1, which will stand for thread 1, and what we want to do is actually specify the function that we want to use, and the function that we want to use is basically our keylogger.start function. So T1 equals threading.thread. This is the syntax for using a thread on a separate function, and in there you need to specify the target, and the target is basically the function that you want to run as a separate thread, and our function will be keylogger.start. I believe that is how we named it. So all we have to do right now is actually start that function, or pardon me, start that thread. Right now we actually started a separate thread which will actually open and record the keystrokes on target PC. So we imported the threading, we imported the keylogger, and everything should be good to go right now, I believe. All we have to do is also code the server side of the code. So let me just check once again. We start our keylogger. Let me save this and nano the keylogger so I can see if everything is well. Then the keylogger will go to the start function right here. It will go to the report. It will open a file at that path. It will open this file right here, which we need to code and specify in our reverse shell as well, so we can actually delete it once we close the reverse shell. And that is basically it, I believe. So let us actually go right here, back to our reverse shell, and once the user specifies, for example, let me just find it, specifies Q, before we actually break for the out of the program, we need to type here try deleting, so os.remove the path, which will specify right here. So path will equal this. Let me just find this part right here. Oops. Location keylogger path underscore path equals, or basically just equals this. So paste this part right here. Then we want to delete this, and keylogger path will be this part right here. Then we want to actually delete that part in our keylogger after we specify the Q option. So delete keylogger path, and that's about it. Except, I'm not really sure if you continue will work. It should work. So accept continue and then break out of the program. So it will try to remove this keylogger path, or basically our keylogger.txt, from the roaming folder. Now if it can delete that path, that means that we didn't even start our keylogger with our reverse shell, so it will just continue and break out of the loop and basically close the program. So all we have to do right now is code another else if statement, which will basically, with this we only started the keylogger, and now let's see what we actually have to do in order to get, basically in order to read what the keylogger has said. So we will use something as similar as in the Metasploit. So keylogger dump, which has 11 letters I believe, equals to keylog underscore dump. Let me just count 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So if the command equals to keylog dump, what we want to do is open basically. So fin equals open Well, let's call it just fn. So fn equals open the keylogger path. So we want to open that. For reading, and basically we want to reliable send underscore send the fn.read, which will send the contents of our keystrokes that were saved into keylogger.txt file. So this might actually work, or it might have a bunch of the errors. I'm not really sure, so we will have to check that out. What we did code is to remove the keylogger, so we will first of all see if everything goes well. So all we have to do right now is actually code the same part right here, or same command right here in our server side of the code. So let us save this and nano to the server.py right here. And let's see what actually has to happen once we type here keylog.start and once we type here keylog.or dump. If I just go right here, we will code something like same like this. So for the keylog start, since we don't receive anything for the keylog start command, let us code the same thing. So else if command and first 12 letters equal to keylog_start. All we want to do is continue with the program, so we don't get actually bugged out at this right here. So we will try to receive, and with the keylog_start option we don't receive anything from our reverse shell, so it will actually crash our program. So we want to code a statement right here, which if we specify keylog_start, it will continue and it will go back to this shell right here where we can input our next command. And for the keylogger, else if command first 11 equals keylog_dump. Oops, let me just close this. We want to reliable, or actually we do not even need this part right here, since we will actually do it with this command, which is for any other statement right here. So we do not need to code anything for the keylog dump. Let us delete this. We don't need it. So this should be good, I believe. Let us try to compile our reverse shell. But let us first double check it once again. So let me just zoom out, since it is easier to navigate through code once the code is in lesser format. So let me just see. We delete the path, which is good. If it doesn't exist, we continue with this and then we break out of the program. Then what we want to do is actually, let me find where the keylog start is. So here it is. We start the thread for our keylogger.start and we read the contents from that file for keylogger_dump. So let us see if this will work. So let us just actually compile this with the wine root wine drive C Python, same command as before, scripts by installer. Let's just use here, for example, just the reverse shell and then one file. We do not need the image for now on. We will do a full test of our backdoor later on. Console. And let us see if this will compile well enough. So what this should do is, once we specify the keylog start, we don't get anything received back, but we should have the keylogger in our app data roaming folder. And everything we type there, it should be printed out in the keylogger.txt folder. So we will see how that will work. For now, let me just plug in my USB drive. Let us go to the devices, import our USB drive right here. Then I want to go to dist right here, move my reverse shell to the media root and then Kali Live. Then once it finishes, I can actually unplug my USB drive and run our shell. Now I'm not really sure why does it take so long to copy the file. Did we import it? So we did import it. Places, computer, Kali Live. So it can't load the Kali Live for some reason now on. Let's wait for a few seconds for this, maybe it will work out. If it doesn't, we will have to compile it once again. So let me just check this out. Why doesn't it work? So we can't even close this program, so let me just close it like this. Let's see if I go to media, right here, zoom in this a little bit. I will remove this reverse shell, so I will go to the root, Python programs, reverse, and I will compile my program once again. But I need to delete this, build, delete the reverse shell spec. Now let us run the same command for compiling our reverse shell. Now let us try to copy it once again to our Kali USB drive. Not really sure why it doesn't work. So it completed successfully. We go to dist where our reverse shell is and we move the reverse shell to media root Kali Live. Okay, so it copied it good right now. Let us unplug the USB drive so we can use it on our Windows 10 machine. And all I want to do right now is run my server. Cannot assign requested IP address. Yeah, this could be a problem, so we might actually need to compile it once again. Since our IP address is no longer the .1.9 as in the previous video, it is actually .1.7. So make sure to check that before you actually compile the program. Your IP address, if it is not static, could have changed. So what we need to do right now is do the same is in the reverse shell as well. So let me just delete all of these files from the previous compilation. So let me just nano reverse shell and change my IP address once again. Now, sorry about this, since we compiled it 3 times, I thought I had the same IP address, but I apparently didn't have it, so I will need to compile it once again. Plug in my USB drive. And right now, everything should be good to go and we should be able to run the program. Finally. Or we will get another error and we will need to fix something else, but that is the part of the coding. That is why this is actually the advanced section, since we actually code ourselves and not use tools from other people. So let us move the reverse shell to media root Kali Live. It copied the program. We clear this, run the server. Listening for incoming connection, so we specify the good IP address, which is our IP address. And right now all we want to do is run the reverse shell.exe. We get failed to execute reverse shell. So not really sure why do we get that. That means something is wrong with our reverse shell in our code. So let us see where is our mistake. So this part right here, whoops, let me just find it. This part right here where we continue should be actually good. Keylogger path. So everything should be good to go. Keylogger path equals OS environ app data plus keylogger.txt. This path right here should also be good. So let me just find what else we coded which doesn't really work. Now it could be this path right here. That we need to specify something differently. So let's see what we actually need to specify. So let me just go right here. Sometimes the order of the libraries could be a problem. So let me just try to import threading first and then import the keylogger. Now this might not have anything to do with this, but it is always a good thing to try. We try to connect to the good IP address. Okay. Then we specify everything right here. Keylogger start, t1 threading.thread. Then we use the function keylogger.start. So let us code a simple program that will actually import keylogger. So, key error app data. So why is this a key error? Path equals os environ plus keylogger.txt. So we need to run this in a Windows system. So let me just see right here. We imported the OS, we imported threading. We use the keylogger.start to use this function right here. So everything should be good to go. So let's do something like this. We will just test out the keylogger for a second. So nano test.py. We user bin Python. We import keylogger. Import threading. Import OS, import PyInput, and what we want to do right now is actually only run this, so keylogger.start. And let us see if I compile this. So let me first remove this right here. If I compile the program, which is test.py, so let me just find the same command as before for the compilation, and I will compile, instead of the virtual, I will compile test.py, which will actually perform a test just on our keylogger, and we will see if it actually is something that is wrong with the keylogger itself, or is it something that is wrong with the backdoor. Now this is how you can check if your program is working, so let's go right here. We go to the test, we move test.exe into media root Kali Live, we unplug the USB drive, let us now run the test.exe. So actually something is wrong with the keylogger itself, so let us see what is actually wrong. So nano test.py, nano keylogger.py. So let's see what we need to import in order for this to actually work. So what I will have to do is actually check out this error by myself, and then, so we don't waste time, I will tell you what the error was in the next video. So hope you enjoyed this, and I hope I see you in the next one, where we will actually see what is wrong with our program. Bye!